it on to Segura, who God knows how he managed to get enough space with two guys on him. But he managed to spin around and takes a shot. Bobby couldn't do anything with it. I believe it went through through Manley's legs.
It did go through somebody's. I don't remember who.
And there it is. You know, it was a soft goal, really, because he had two guys on him. How in the world he managed to spin himself around and take a shot that went to Manley's right and Bobby's left and slotted in, basically rolling across the box. Never understand it. It's just one of those incredibly frustrating goals. And so, because I would like to pick on Mark Birch, in the 69th minute, he was put at the corner. God knows what was going on. Did you see this corner?
I did not see that corner.
So, I'm still trying to figure out if he meant to do what he did, because the ball shoots out on the ground up to maybe, I don't know, midfield, 30 yards out. And it went right to one of our players. So I was like, well, maybe he was doing that on purpose? But at the same time, it looked like it was a miss kick.
They were practicing a FIFA play.
I was just like, it's so classic Minnesota. We had the lead. We allow a really soft goal. We were pushing forward. We got a corner. And what do? We kind of make it look like I'm out there taking corners with my left foot, which would be a disaster. I mean, that would be
if they want to pay me to do that, I can.
Right.
I mean, if they want to save money.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, having one of us out there paying us, the minimum.
Whatever that is. What is the minimum?
I don't remember. I think it's 50-something now. I'd take that.
I would take that, yes.
I'll just stand on the sideline. I'll stand right on the touchline and just not do anything because, honestly, 10 men, 11 men, doesn't really matter. And every single corner, I'll do the exact same thing. And it wouldn't be any worse than what Mark Birch did on that corner.
So the minimum is $62,500.
All right. Well, I'd take that.
I would take that, yes. Lose.
Yeah. So, there was obviously some other good things. Of course, Darren Maddox comes in as a sub and slots home another goal in the 69th minute, literally right after that corner. And DCU takes the lead. I have notes on this. I don't really want to get into it. Really, it was their center backs a little bit. It was Mark Birch a little bit. It was Manley not understanding his angles, getting tripped up as Durkin rounded the corner into the box. It was just a mess of, again, really soft goals that we shouldn't be giving up. And so, to point out, Angelo had another really great shot at goal in the 78th minute. And I noted that, again, he was one of those physical runs to the goal where he basically takes on the defense. And I said in my notes, Christian doesn't do that. And that is why we made that trade. It's obvious that is the player that they wanted, the type of player they wanted, and you're not going to get that from Christian Ramirez. Mm-hmm. I've gotten really kind of cheeky on social media lately with people still going on about Christian Ramirez. And somebody said, well, and we'll get it. Yeah, in fact, I'll save that to the RSL game because it's more relevant.
Okay.
So, I think that was the goal. I mean, that was the game. We lost it 2-1. Some of the stats in that game, were actually not that bad. It was 60-40 possession to DC. That's going to be standard. We're playing counterattacking counterattacking football, you're going to probably have less possession. That's fine. Shots were 16-16. Shots on goal were 7-4. I mean, that's not great, but it's still not terrible. I think one of the big things that I put in my notes was our duels. We were out-dueled 57-43. That's going to be something I'm going to bring up again with Salt Lake. I mean, if you're losing those one-on-one battles like that lopsided, you're going to have problems keeping possession. So you can see the 60-40, well, it makes sense with counterattacking tactics. When you start looking at those duels lost, it's like, okay, that's why it's 60-40. It has less to do with the style of play that we're doing. We just can't hang on to the ball. Passing, we were 81% completion, which is pretty solid. I think it was one of the higher percentages that we've had this year. And I wanted to point out, Max and Bob had 25 recoveries in the center of the pitch. They had 3 clearances inside the box, 5 separate interceptions that were almost all in the center of the field, and they had 2 blocks that were outside. That's exactly what we want from them. I mean, if you looked at the field map thing that MLS has in the box scores, you could see all of their work was really basically right down the center of the pitch. It's exactly what we want. So, in terms of some quick hits, I think, Bob and Max are what we're looking for. I think Bob makes sense to have this addition. He's a veteran presence. He understands how to play the game. He's got a bit more skill than I think most people necessarily expect, even though he's been kind of all over the place in his career. And I think that's what we need. And if Max is going to stick around, because obviously he's on loan, I think Bob will be a really great mentor for him, especially since they're both Brazilian and they've got the benefit of having same language. They've played in the same league. I think this is going to be really good. Carter Manley, right now he's just not our answer. We have some major issues with our fullbacks. Jerry went out early again with an injury. Eric Miller's still not healthy with his 4th injury of the year, and he hasn't even been with us all year.
Yep.
Manley, I see a lot of good things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's just not ready. So I think he might have to be out on loan again next season, or maybe at least have that 24-hour recall like he is now. Get some minutes down below in USL. And I think he's going to work out. But right now, he's just not an answer. Angelo continued to look solid. I think every single game he's played for us, he has looked the part. He just hasn't gotten the goals, right?
Not yet.
So I think that's a good thing. I think that's what we need. He's a workhorse. For what it's worth, the Audi index, I don't personally like it. A lot of other analysts don't really like it. No one really understands how it's scored.
Dave loved
but
it.
He had the highest. He was 638 for a score. I'm fairly certain he's the highest that any of our forwards have been all season, with the exception of Darwin, if you consider him a forward. So that's another positive. Of course, Darwin came back. What'd you think? Was he sorely missed?
I think so. I mean, I think his presence on the field. I mean, those games weren't that, there was a chance with him on the field. The body language was better besides the defensive blunder at the end.
Right.
But I think just the whole team in general said, hey, our guy's back. One person does make a lot of difference when it comes down to just being positive. And, hey, now we have a chance. Unfortunately, those chances didn't happen, and not to go into the next game, but our season is basically over,
Yes.
And it's time to start looking forward to next year and go from there.
Yeah. I think it's tough to always evaluate our players when you have a playmaker like him, because it's hard to tell. Okay, are they playing out of position, or are they playing just better when he's on the field? And I think we had Miguel Ibarra playing on the left against DC, which, considering he's left-footed, you would think the left makes most sense. I've argued all season that he needs to play on the right, that he's better on his weak side. And the problem is, I feel like I finally got that opportunity to say, look, we had Darwin in the game, Miguel's on the right, on the left, and he's not doing as well. So I finally had an opportunity to say, look, he switched back to his quote-unquote natural position with Darwin in the game, and he still couldn't quite look the part. So I really think he needs to stay on the right. I think he seems to do really well on his weak side, cutting in with his strong side. For whatever reason, this needs to work. Last point of that game, I don't know what to think about Pang Up. I just don't think he's a guy that we want. But he's young.
How old is
incredibly
he?
cheap.
How old is he?
I think he's 23.
Okay, so he is young, and like you said, cheap.
Yeah.
And he can fill the position for the time being.
Yeah, maybe he needs to be loaned out next season. That'd be nice. If he can develop it, fantastic. I guess we'll see. So, you still no beer? Still no beer?
No, I do apologize. I'm letting the other guys down too, but...
I pointed out when you got here, a few episodes ago, I drank water all episode, so...
Yeah, it's...
what? I'll probably bring it up at least once more.
Alright.
So,
answer will still be no.
Okay. So, Salt Lake. You did not watch Salt Lake.
I hit bits and pieces, and that's about it.
And I should actually ask you, is there anything you want to add about DC?
I actually have questions in a whole about, not the games themselves, but in a whole to get your view, more of the general questions that I'll throw after we talk about the next match.
All right, cool. So, Salt Lake, I think in terms of the teams we played, considering how we looked against DC, I thought Salt Lake was going to be our best chance to win a game. Now, Salt Lake is really, really strong at Rio Tinto, so there's always that issue. But for me, I messaged you before the game, and I said that I felt really positive about this game. And, we almost won.
Yeah.
It was a 1-1 draw. They, of course, ended up scoring in the 10th minute, which we're all too used to that, so there's not a lot to say about that, right?
Yep.
Really, that whole goal started with Michael Boxall giving it away super, super cheaply in midfield. Omsberg, well, actually, I should say Krylak first beat Bob, which, whatever. Say whatever that means. Omsberg, though, didn't apply any pressure whatsoever. And it was like almost as if he was expecting Calvo, who was on the left, to come in and take care of business. And Krylak was given a perfectly good goal.
That was their first goal, correct?
Yep.
From when he was on top of the box?
Yep.
Okay. I saw the highlights.
I don't necessarily give Omsberg all of the blame here, because guess what? I think Bobby kind of let us down. It's kind of blasphemous sometimes, but I think that Bobby was shaded just a little bit too far to his near post, and